The Peddie experience is an experience for a lifetime.
I really don't think I would be where I am in my life if it hadn't been for Peddie.
My time at Peddie really shaped who I became, and I'm so proud to have been part of this community.
The thing that particularly stands out in my mind about this school is how wonderful the faculty was.
It was the best decision that my 13-year-old self could have made and the best decision that my parents could have supported.
I really didn't have much of a choice. My father said, "You're going."
I was here when it was all boys school, and it was almost like a boot camp.
Well, it's the 70s, so it's a little bit different than it is now.
We have a lot of stories, but we can't talk about them.
Everyone here plays a role in shaping you during those formative years.
You know, it gave you the backbone to build your life on.
It has stayed with me, and it was when I keep saying to anyone that'll listen, it was the best year of my life.
Peddie was founded in 1864, just about the time a lot of other leading boarding schools were founded. I mean, there were 5 schools that were founded in Hightstown. 5. 1 survived. We survived and flourished through tough times because there were enough strong hearts to say, we are working for something beyond academic success, beyond athletic prowess, beyond winning records. We're working for a state of character and a nobility of pursuit, and that's very central to this place.
It was founded as the Hightstown Female Seminary. It quickly changed and then it became coeducational. But it was also a time when a lot of religious affiliations were founding schools. And that's something that perhaps kids now don't quite understand, the affiliation of the Baptist Church in a school like Peddie. But it was very, very important in the late 1800s, really all through about 1950, 1960.
Thomas Peddie saved Peddie from bankruptcy.
He was a Scottish immigrant. He went on to become a leather merchant in Newark, New Jersey, which is not so far away. He manufactured suitcases and leather goods during the Civil War, and he was a Baptist. And he was someone who wanted to make sure that the Baptist Church had a prominent role in New Jersey, that the school had a prominent role, and therefore he felt it was worthy of his support.
When the school was having trouble in the early 1870s, then known as the New Jersey Classical and Scientific Institute, he donated $25,000, and whoever gave the first $25,000 could name the school. So it became the Peddie Institute. Once it got established at the 25th anniversary in 1889, started working on an even course, and much of that was guided by Headmaster Roger Swetland, who was the headmaster from 1898 to 1934.
Dr. Swetland had a very grand ambition for the school. He got it through the Depression at a time when it was inconceivable that people even had money to send their children to boarding school.
What he also did is to develop a plan for campus with a big central green.
The geography of Peddie is a metaphor for the kind of school we are. It's level, it's not a school on a hill. I think that has translated for generations into a certain acceptance of everybody and then a pressure to really succeed once you get here. At Peddie, because we're really at an intersection of central New Jersey, I think we draw on a wider range of people, and I think that's always been a huge strength.
All I remember is the trains going right through downtown Hightstown. It was a big thing to walk downtown. And I remember Sundays, everyone had to go to church, and you could pick wherever you wanted to go. And I picked the closest one.
We went to the movies a lot here. There was a movie theater downtown, and Saturday nights we would go down to the firehouse. There was a dance above the firehouse.
I happened to be in Peddie in the summer of '45 when the atom bomb was dropped. And when peace was declared, we all went to the Baptist church. It wasn't cheering and great joyfulness. It was kind of a solemn, respected way of celebrating the end of the war.
The environment at Peddie was fantastic, coming from Brooklyn, New York. It was a terrific contrast. Sports were here, the whole open facilities. It was wonderful.
We had some really outstanding teachers who I'll never forget. I can't remember a teacher at Brown, but I can remember 10 of them that I had at Peddie.
Academically, of course, this was a wonderful place, but to the best of my recollection, Peddie cost about $1,200 a year for everything, and I think it's slightly more expensive now.
Girls came to Peddie in the fall of '70, and half of them were in a production of Guys and Dolls. You know, the drama club was able to change completely.
Girls were back, and it was awesome. It was scary too, and I didn't know how to take all these preppies.
I think the girls who came were kind of pioneer kind of girls who wanted to take charge of things. So the girls actually had very dominant roles in student government, and we were all, starting different sports teams. So from that standpoint, I actually enjoyed the fact that I could have that kind of pioneer role.
It was exposure to people who were going to go places and do things, and from different parts of the state and the country and the world. In my case, I actually married a girl that I met here.
I actually remember you saying that you were going to marry her. That's kind of weird. She was a freshman.
Back then, it was sort of the beginning of the computer industry, and I was involved in the computer labs. Then it was IBM punch card computers.
Back then in the 80s, there was this god-awful fluorescent lighting in the student center, and then we'd step out of the student center and we'd once again be in one of the most beautiful places on earth.
When I first came in 1981, we had virtually no endowment and a dicey future. And I would say 2 years after that, I think, Mr. Annenberg gave what then seemed like an enormous gift. I think it was $12 million, which restored the school in a lot of ways, not the least of which was emotional.
Peddie has been the beneficiary of a number of caring and devoted alumni over many, many years now. Probably the two most prominent are Walter Annenberg and Finn Casperson.
Finn Casperson played a role that, financially generous as he was, his leadership kept the school going when other people thought, I'm not sure that's worth saving.
I believe that Peddie would not still exist if it were not for Finn Casperson.
The story of Walter Annenberg is in many ways the story of Peddie. Walter Annenberg had a great deal of class. I always think of Peddie as having a lot of class.
Walter Annenberg came here in the 1920s. He was a son of an immigrant to America who came with nothing and who succeeded. He went off to be very successful in business. He was an entrepreneur. He was an ambassador. He served under President Nixon. But he always remembered his school days and how much he owed to the faculty here.
Early on, the gift that he made while Ed Potter was headmaster literally saved the school, much in the same way that Peddie's gift had saved the school years earlier. But the gift, the big one, provided for Peddie was that it guaranteed that Peddie would always be a school, that it would become one of the immortals.
Of course, the famous $100 million gift from Mr. Annenberg was just incomprehensible. I still can't believe it.
There's no question in my mind what that gift meant. From the minute of the Annenberg gift, things on campus changed in classroom, on teams, in dormitories. There were enough students here who would say, this is the chance of my lifetime, and I am going to take it.
What makes Peddie unique is the chemistry in the classroom, the range of kids we get. That helps create a very dynamic, active, exciting classroom experience for the teachers and for the kids.
I think Peddie's different from other schools because of the people that actually work at Peddie. I noticed at Peddie that the teachers were a lot more open and they're a lot more communicative with their kids, the students. Everyone seemed to be having a lot more fun in classes, and it was just good to see that there's a relationship forming between students and teacher.
Peddie really gives students the power to shape their experience here and to explore what they're passionate about, but also they do it in a supportive community that students here push you to do your best, whether it be on the athletic field, be in the theater, be in the classroom. And that camaraderie and sense of encouragement and support, as well as using that to fuel each other's motivation and each other's competitive spirit, leads to a very potent combination of being able to accomplish a lot with your peers as well as accomplishing a lot individually.
I think over 20 years, we've certainly reached the goal that in 1993 we thought we would have. You want the academic program to be like the air you breathe, of course. That's why you're going to go to a school like this, because it's going to train your brain. But what you'll get at Peddie that is really distinctive to its mission is how to figure out which target to hit to make that greatest contribution to citizenship that Mr. Annenberg is always talking about.
I think Peddie ranks amongst some of the nation's most elite preparatory boarding schools, but not because it relishes in its elitism. Peddie has built itself upon generosity and upon altruism. So Peddie is unique in that it's not about name, it's about community.
What does the future hold for Peddie? Like its students, Peddie's future is whatever it wants it to be. But the challenge is we can do anything we want, we can't do everything we want. Our dreams have grown. The school had bigger dreams in 1964 than it had in 1924 or 1914 or 1874. But we haven't stepped away from that pride in contribution.